Hi, welcome back. We're on lesson 23 of our VQ workbook. Ambiguous. Ambiguous answer. Ambiguous means having several possible meanings, usually two. It could mean yes or it could mean no. It could mean two different things because the root there is ambi. Ambi means both, which we have seen before, as in the word ambivalent when we say she felt ambivalent. She felt both love and hate. Or if you are ambidextrous, it means you use both of your hands equally well. If you're an ambivert, it means you're both an introvert, a shy person, and an extrovert, which is an outgoing person. If you have both of those qualities, then you are an ambivert. So, ambiguous, the word we have here, means two possible meanings. Of course, it could be more than two, but usually it's two. The noun form is ambiguity. Ambiguity, I'm sorry, that will be the right pronunciation. You might hear about ambiguity in grammar. This is a grammatical error that you should be aware of in sentences like this. Joe told Bob that he couldn't go. And when you look at the pronoun he, we call that an ambiguous pronoun because that he could actually be Joe saying, I can't go, or that could mean Bob with Joe saying, hey, you can't go. So it could be interpreted either way, and that leads to ambiguity in the grammar. Caricature. Caricature of the president. A caricature, I'm sure, is a distortion. Burlesque is another word to describe this kind of distorted art form. If you go to a county fair or a theme park, there's an artist who would draw these pictures for you. And the key characteristic is that they would exaggerate certain features of your face so that anybody looking at the picture would recognize it as you because you have those distinctive characteristics. Like the President Obama's portrait here. This is typically how he was portrayed in any kind of political cartoons or caricatures, with the very short hair and the very big ears, because that was his unique feature. So any kind of exaggerated and ludicrous distortion. Ludicrous means it's really kind of outrageous and funny. Devious. The devil's devious ways. Devious means going astray or erratic, not behaving correctly, right? We've seen that word. And cunning, as in being deceitful and cheating. So the prefix here is D, which means down or away, and via. Via is way. So if you deviate, you're going astray from the straight path. So you're being devious. So you are wandering. You're going on a devious path, a path that goes astray, aside from the main road. And it could also refer to people being cunning and deceptive, like a devious politician or a devious trick. Erroneous. Erroneous answer. Erroneous is mistaken or wrong because it's basically built on the word error. It's the adjective for error. Then you have something that is erroneous. The root there is is to wander, ERR. Anytime you see ERR, you should think of the word error and going astray. So we can talk about erroneous assumptions as an example. When you assume things that are not correct, that's erroneous assumptions. Or we can talk about erroneous impressions, as in you saw somebody and you had an impression of that person, but it wasn't the correct understanding of that person. It was wrong impressions. Hamper. Hamper the progress. To hamper means to obstruct or to block the path. So it is a synonym to impede or disrupt or stymie. These are some other words that all mean kind of getting in your way and kind of slowing down your progress. We would see a sentence like this: the project was hampered by lack of funding. Yeah, you had maybe the city had a big project for construction, but there wasn't enough money, so then the project was hampered. It was slowed down. The accident is hampering traffic on the freeway. There's a car accident that is blocking everybody else, then it's hampering the traffic. Insipid. Insipid design. Insipid means lacking in flavor and dull. As in insipid food. That would mean there's no flavor to that food. It's very bland. You can talk about insipid prose, that is writing that is kind of dull, nothing interesting. And usually, good writers do not write in insipid prose. They write in very kind of flowery, creative ways. They have creative ways of expressing the same thing that you and I might say in a very insipid manner. That's why they become the authors of books that make a lot of money. The insipid design idea is like a wallpaper you might see. And the wallpapers are generally kind of boring and dull. And so we would say that's an insipid design on that wallpaper. Nonchalance. Nonchalant about his grade. Nonchalance is the noun form. It means indifference, lack of concern, and composure. So you feel indifference, which means not caring about it. Either way, you don't like it, you don't dislike it, you just don't care. That is the lack of concern. We have a sample sentence like this. We could say he was surprisingly nonchalant about winning the award. All right, so he won a award. He should be happy, but he seems nonchalant. He doesn't care. She faced the crowd with the nonchalant ease of an experienced speaker. There's a big crowd, but this person goes up and speaks to the people. She's not nervous. She doesn't feel anything. So this is the kind of the composure idea in the definition. She feels very composed. She's very calm about it because she's nonchalant. Profane. Profane the name of God. To profane the name of God is to violate or desecrate, as in blasphemy. Thou shalt not blaspheme, we said. That is profaning the name of God. That is to violate the sanctity of the name of God. It is the same word as profanity, the noun form. When you use vulgar language, we say you're using profanity. So profaning is generally for religious situations. You profane God, profane something sacred, but profanity can just it could be that religious aspect or just you using bad language. Adjective is profane. For example, we can talk about situations like the upside down cross that people wear around their necks and on their necklaces or as their earrings. Why do they do it? It's just plain profanity. They're trying to profane the Christian religion that way. Or an example that I find particularly interesting is the statue of Buddha used in restaurants as restaurant decorations. Buddha in the Western world might look kind of exotic and kind of funny, interesting, but it is a deity, virtually a deity of another religion with, a billion followers. And it's kind of interesting that Westerners are willing to profane this deity of another culture. Can you imagine? You go to China and they have Jesus Christ being the decoration of a Chinese restaurant, or that kind of situation we would consider being very profane. Sage. Consult the sage. Sage is a wise person. So if you need advice, you would go to a sage. But a sage is generally wise through experience. So it's implies that it's someone old that you go to. So we generally imagine an old person, a wise old person of the village that everybody goes to for advice. Generally, an old person. Adjective is sage, so you can say sage advice. I need some sage advice. Tranquility. Tranquil waters. Tranquil waters is waters that has calmness and peace. Very peaceful, no ripples, no storms, no nothing. Everything is calm. Then there's tranquility. Synonym. Placid is a synonym. Being sedate is a synonym. And Pacific, as in Pacific Ocean, it means peaceful. So all these words refer to being very calm and serene. And the word tranquilizer, of course, is related to it. Tranquilizer is the the shot that we give usually to an animal when you see like an animal loose and someone comes along and animal control person comes along with a gun that shoots out a dart that has, I guess they call it a tranquilizer dart. It has the tranquilizer medication chemicals in it so that when it hits the animal is sedated, drugged, and it falls asleep. So if you have a person who is very excited for some reason, going hysterical, the doctors might give that person a tranquilizer as well. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. I'll see you back for the next video.